Greetings, I'm Logan with G.I. Joe Gamer, and tonight I'm taking a look at Kamakura from the Hildt X38. And we're going to start with the figures that came out in the early 2000s, with the third one that came out in 2005. I have two of the three that came out in that time period. Now, this is when they were experimenting with weird body, different body part without the O-ring, and it had this action feature where he did a karate chop. I did like that they came with these gauntlets that were their communication devices. What I didn't like is they could probably easily be stolen, maybe not accessed and used, but they didn't take it from a jail, no problem. Well, not necessarily no problem, but they came with this little machine pistol. This was an interesting figure, but it wasn't the best Kamakura figure. The first one was better. I don't particularly have that one. I have the second one, which is the one I'm going to take a better look at right now. And he came with a little MAC 10 submachine gun and a pair of three-piece rod chakus. And I really like this particular figure, and this is the one they based the classified figure off of, which is what we'll be mainly taking a look at here in a bit. I did like the guards and the shin guards and the knee pads. I thought that was pretty cool. And the knee, what I didn't like was this little skirt that's on him. It really hinders the figure's movement. But you could get him into some pretty decent poses. And this one did not have the wrist articulation like a lot of the ones in this time period did, which was cool. But it did have it was an O-ring figure again. So that was kind of cool. I don't know why the very next year they didn't make this guy an O-ring figure, but it was probably because of the gimmick with the karate chopping hand, with the spring action arm. But I thought this was a much superior figure. Take a better look at it. Very cool, Kamakura. Now we'll get into his character in a bit, but first thing is first, we're going to look at the classified box art. He was 61 in the series. Very first windowless packaging that I got was this one, and so when I tried to open it, I accidentally ripped the box. But I keep all the boxes and all the packing material as well inside. I do like the fact that on the back they show you the figure and all the accessories. There is a lot of things about this windowless packaging that I liked. I'm glad they're going back to window packaging, but what I'm upset about that they don't continue to have the button. I have the new button, and he doesn't come with a footlocker. I really thought this whole footlocker idea was a great idea, so you can store all their accessories in it. Now, you have the paper that all the accessories came in. We get all his accessories out of the box here. Now he has quite a few accessories, as the box shows here. First of all, he comes with these two swords that are actually supposed to be the staff together, and the staff as one piece. Now, I don't know why they just didn't make this so that this could come apart. It would have been a lot easier to save them less on plastic. I'm going to set these back in the footlocker as we work on it. It did come with a knife, which I thought was pretty cool. Every Joe needs a combat knife, in my opinion. Nice little backup. Now, he does come with this hood and extra head, which is his ninja mask on. We'll be taking a look at that. But for the first time, like all the box art, Kamakura, his face is exposed, which is kind of cool. And he's got the Arashikage tattoo because he was trained by Snake Eyes. And he's got the knee pads and the shin guards, just like this figure here. So we'll take a look at them together. Now, I thought that this classified figure was done a lot better than this one, but it's what they put into it. And by the time they got to 61 in this series, the classified figures were looking a lot better. Hello, Black Widow. Welcome. How you doing? I'm glad you took the time to at least say hello to me tonight as I'm talking about G.I. Joes. We had Skilled Loser in the chat. I don't think he's still around. And I wanted to thank Joy, JC, for giving me a like and a shout out earlier. Now, this one, like the vintage, well, it's not really vintage, but I guess consider it vintage. It's over 20 years old, so it's vintage now, but it's not from the original 13 years of G.I. Joe from 1902 to 2004. There you got the tassels here. I thought that was a nice touch. You have the little Pagon backpack with the two sheaths for both of his katanas, which are identical, as you can see there. And we'll take a better look at that katana. He does come with a MAC 10 Uzi. Well, it's more of an Uzi. This is actually the same weapon that came with Snake Eyes and Timber, the Alpha Commandos. So it's pretty good. I did like the fact that instead of having just like cloth or anything on his wrist, they have these actual this actual wrist guard, if I can speak properly, and a wristband over here, so you can clearly see his Arashikage tattoo. Now, I think it's cool that they do that, but in actuality, I wish they would have done something so that they could cover that up, because that's not something that they just want everybody to know is like what clan they're from. It's a little ridiculous if you ask me, but that's just how it is. Let me see if I can. Nope. It looks like we're going to have to, in order to put the hood on, we have to take the head off. So we get the orange out of the way here, and I just pop the head off so that we can take a closer look at the ninja head. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the hood just pops right on the ninja head. And you can take it right on and right off. But I actually prefer to display him like this with the ninja mask. It actually looks more like the more original figure. Now, the one that came out before this was identical, just different colors. So I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I'd have to look again, but that's the way it looked to me. I don't know that one, so I can't say for 100%. But I really think this is a dynamic figure. It has all the classified points of articulation, so the posability on this is really, really good. We'll put these back in the footlocker, the hood and the Sean head. That's his name, Sean. And if you want to pause the video earlier on, or it's already up, Kamakura on Joe Takes 38, and you can check that out if you wanted to. It paused on the file cards to read that. Now, as far as the cartoons were concerned, I'm pretty sure he was in Spy Troops. Didn't have that big of a part. I mean, he had a scene with Duke that was pretty cool. But for the most part, he had a bigger part in Valor vs. Venom. I do have both of these, but neither one of them had Kamakura on the cover. I mean, they had Snake Eyes here, but not Kamakura. And I don't know, this Kamakura may not have been in that other one, but I know for a fact that he was in this one. I think he was in the other one with this particular outfit, which oddly came out after. And in this movie, I'm pretty sure he got this outfit. So it's just been a while. There was a really cool scene of this. Snake Eyes gave him this sword that was made from a meteorite fragment, and it was a really cool katana. And it didn't really look like a katana, but that's what it was supposed to be. And he had a hard time taking it out of the sheath, and Cheeks would make fun of him because he couldn't pull it out of the sheath. So just because it's been given to you doesn't mean you're worthy of using it. But he finally managed to unsheath it in a really cool scene where this Cobra Jet, called the Night Adder, which is funny because they have a character called that as well. But it came with Wild Weasel, and it came flying in. And he actually leapt up off of a Quonset hut and used that sword. It came right out of the sheath, and he cut the wing off of this Night Adder as it flew by him. And he took the plane out. I mean, not very feasible, but it was a really cool scene in animation. I really enjoyed this movie. It was one of the better animated movies that they made for G.I. Joe. So if you have a chance to watch it, I think it might be on YouTube. Uh, there's probably a few places you can watch it. Now, as far as the comics are concerned, he was in the Image series and the Devil's Due, but I didn't really have any of those with him in it, not, at least not that big ones. And he was originally, his name was Sean Broca. Broca's an amalgamation for Cobra. And they were his father was a Crimson Guardsman, but his father was killed by Spirit and Airborne in an attempt to protect Snake Eyes from Firefly destroying him in issue 31 of G.I. Joe. Very cool comic that I've gone over quite a few times on Joe Takes already. But I'm just going into Sean's origin. So a replacement Crimson Guard was sent to his house, and he got from Fred the second to or I think it was Fred the second who took Fred the first place or whatever. I don't remember the numbering of the Freds, but that was the Crimson Guards. And that one turned out to be Wade Collins, who had been in Vietnam with Stalker and Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They were all three in the same, all four of them were in the same unit with two other guys who had gotten killed. And they had thought he had died. And he got left behind in Vietnam as a POW. And this is all the Larry Hama comics. And he actually survived, and he got sent home, and nobody really even knew that he had sent home. He was sent home. He didn't have any family or anything, and he thought his buddies all left him behind, but they had thought he was dead. And so he was disillusioned with the whole the American way of life and everything, and felt that he was betrayed by his country. And so he was easily seduced by Cobra. He had the plastic surgery done to make him look like all the other Fred series Crimson Guardsmen. So he had the same face with blonde hair. And originally, I think he had darker hair, but they changed the cuticles and all that, made it so that his hair was naturally blonde. And Cobra had some really cool technology where they did stuff like that. I don't know, consider it cool, but it's fascinating at least to me. Now, him and the mother of Sean Broca ended up hitting it off and actually became a couple. And they her kids with the other Fred. Basically, Wade Collins, after he realized his buddies did betray him and leave him behind, came back to away from Cobra. He basically left Cobra with the wife and the kids because they basically felt betrayed by Cobra at that point. And so Sean grew up in that household, and he became Sean Collins. Now, this made him have Snake Eyes and Stalker kind of as uncles, not necessarily Storm Shadow 2, but he did Storm Shadow as well. And so when he grew up, he wrote Snake Eyes a letter about wanting to be a soldier. And the last Marvel comic that was G.I. Joe 155, was all a letter from Sean to Snake Eyes. And Snake Eyes wrote back to him. And it was basically the first time in the series you hear Snake Eyes. You see his words in print in the comic. He didn't really say anything, but he wrote a letter, and as you're reading the letter, you'll read his words, and I thought that was really cool, really well done. And he basically told him what it meant to be a soldier, and he told him all the hardships. He was very honest and forthright with him. And even after that, he decided to become a soldier. He ended up joining G.I. Joe. And so Snake Eyes took it upon himself to train him in the arts of the ninja. And he became Snake Eyes' ninja apprentice. And that's where Kamakura comes from. Now, in the Holoverse, he never became Kamakura. When he joined G.I. Joe, I don't think Larry Hama liked that because Kamakura is like the name of a place in Japan. So he called him Throwdown. And the same character, just, let me see. He said you didn't realize there was such a story behind G.I. Joe? Oh, yes. Oh, it's got an incredible backstory. And G.I. Joe, the same guy has been writing G.I. Joe since 1982, Larry Hama. And he has gone from Marvel Comics. He went over to a little bit of Devil's Due from Image. And then when IDW got the contract, he wrote IDW and started his G.I. Joe stories over again from issue 156 all the way to 300 again. He also did another one to get it going, like 155 and a half or something like that. I can't remember exact year. But it started that over. Plus, he wrote a bunch of special missions and other things for IDW, including a series called Silent Auction. But it is an ongoing saga still today. Contract for G.I. Joe has been picked up by Image Comics again, and they are now releasing it. And Larry Hama, they've asked him to write it. It's actually the third issue, I think it's out this month. So it's on 303 at this point in time. So, hello, Darkside. How you doing? Welcome. I was just explaining the serious backstory that is G.I. Joe, and how many stories it's gone now. That takes us to the IDW series, like I was telling you, as Larry Hama continued his story, and he introduced Kamakura in that storyline as Throwdown. Now, after like 36 issues of that, it was in the 180s or somewhere like that. It's actually after issue 200, where Snake Eyes actually sacrificed himself to stop Serpentor, a new Serpentor that they've cloned. There have been several of those throughout the comic. Serpentor tried to become the Cobra Emperor. He was supposed to be a perfect leader for Cobra forces, but he tried to take over Cobra every time. Let's see. Black Widow says, "I don't know. There was so much to know about to know." No, that's okay. I'm just a big G.I. Joe fan. I could talk about it all night. But in the comics, like I said, Snake Eyes sacrificed himself. But they didn't want Cobra to know that they had a victory, having killed Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe's greatest warrior. So Sean Collins took his place as Snake Eyes. And so on this cover, it's the only cover I have with Sean Collins as Snake Eyes. So this is the same character as Kamakura, just Larry Hama's version where he became Snake Eyes for quite a while, throughout most of the IDW run. Now, there was other things that happened with Snake Eyes' character, but I'll go into that another time. And you said me either? Well, I'm glad you find it interesting, Darkside. Like I said, I could talk about G.I. Joe all night, but he went through a similar experience to Snake Eyes 2 right before it had happened, and he sacrificed basically himself to stop this robot from going into space, and when it crashed back down, his face was disfigured just like Snake Eyes. And so they kind of did the whole swap and said he died and Snake Eyes lived. Well, he had survived, but they did the best they could to fix up his face, and he became Snake Eyes, the masked warrior. So that, in a nutshell, is Kamakura. Now, that's his cartoon performances or appearances and his comic appearances that I'm aware of. Like I said, there's probably quite a few more in the Devil's Due and Image series that they had for quite a while. I picked up America's Elite, most of that, and he was in it a little bit, but not a lot. And he's a really cool character. I really enjoy Kamakura as a character. In my Joeverse, my personal Joeverse, this is the part of the Joe Takes where I give my opinion on where I see him. He is with my G.I. Joe Fire Team Bravo, and he's on his leader of that team, and he is they have him listed, I'm pretty sure, on the file card. We'll bring this up real quick. Yeah, he is a sergeant. That's right. He's E5, and so he's, like I said, he's a sergeant, and that's what he is. I haven't exactly placed him in Fire Team Bravo either as a squad leader or just as a specialist, but as a sergeant, he could easily take that position as a squad leader. So could a corporal or a specialist, but the military is kind of weird that way. But yes, his team leader is Buchet, who is a command sergeant major, which is 9, basically enlisted 9. If you know anything about military ranks, which I kind of know quite a bit about, but I've had to study it. I was never able to join the military, but I love all the stuff for it. I love jets, and tanks, and all that kind of cool stuff. So G.I. Joe was right up my alley. Ninjas, generally not so much. But of the ninjas, I really like Snake Eyes. I like Storm Shadow. And of all the extra ninjas they threw in there, Kamakura is one of my favorites. And he's just a dynamic character, and his backstory is really cool. So that's my take on Kamakura. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time on Joe Takes, we're going to have something a little different. Get my music off here, and I will go out and say on this one with what's coming up on Joe Takes 39. I'm going to be taking a look at another troop builder. That would be the original Cobra Trooper. A couple weeks last week, I looked at Cobra Officer. So if you want to check that one out, that's how the Cobras form their troops, with troopers and officers right above them. And so here is Joe Takes 38 for Cobra Trooper. Good night. Here we go. Let's go.